The stiff-legged and neck people were unable to move because when they do, they fall because they're unstable. Blinded when we decided to be double-minded, which in the Greek is dipsukos, spirit divided. Unable to stand, unstable in all, vacillating in purpose, explaining the fall. Chained to the wall that we create to blanket the flaw, when faith was annulled in exchange for shame. Am I wrong? I wasn't surprised when she said the people were vacating and that the ship crashed down in the place they were vacationing, because rest is what you have after work is applied, sleep is what you are when you set that work to the side. Now we're in a famine because we lack understanding when Jesus said our food is in carrying out the commandment. Faith without work is dead, so when we set aside our work, you basically just set aside your bread. If a man does not work, he shall not eat. That's why I said for the mature is reserved the strong meat. The harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Starving because we're lazy, nah, that couldn't be you. He who was seated on the throne said, I'm making everything new. Then he said, write this down, for his words are trustworthy and true. Verily, verily, I say unto you, do not let the left hand know when the right hand moves. They announce it with trumpets, like hypocrites do, so they can get high out of people thinking they're cool. The reward, they already received it in full when they were praying on the corner, and the kid was like, ooh. Same crouched at the door, but they leave it open. And they choke on the meat because the teeth are broken. And the peace is stolen by a thief that knows when you close one eye, the face of the deep is frozen. These people are posing. Wolves in sheep's clothing, they walk with their heads high, robes all flowing, lift their eyes with pride. That's why they don't know when to move to the right, and it's not that he won't show them. See, a candle was handed to a man for his sandal. But they remain like this as if they don't understand you. Wisdom gives patience to overlook an offense, but the grass is so brown they're overlooking the fence. To see if what they see is better than what they own, right? But woe to those who are wise, clever in their eyes and own sight. Listen, you know you live in a world that's wicked when the truth was revealed, but we still stick with twisting it. Grown men arguing over who is the sickest in a place where you're commended for being the most promiscuous. Consider this, while clothing yourself with corruption that cannot protect from the cold and corrodes as you rush in to whatever your flesh determines will bring it pleasure, turn an earthly treasure, unless you're the type that simply would not like to live forever. Moving in the direction of least resistance. No wonder you have dreams that your teeth are missing. Some people think I try to be too deep, but listen, you can't eat your meat if you can't be persistent. The mature became mature by the reason of use. So if you cast off wisdom, what do you need? What a two. Same breeze, push a leaf, pull a tree from the roots. Pharisees were offended, but he was speaking the truth. Matthew 15, you could also read it in Jude. He was speaking to them then, but now he's speaking to you. Cute bracelet. I'm sure you want to know what Jesus would do. Because faith can only be manifested when you apply the corresponding action, which is the evidence to the situation that proves your faith is genuine, thereby making faith without the work, examine it. And if we casually cast aside a pearl to attain and gain the entire weight of the world, too busy to stop and pluck the rock from the furrow till we stray off the straight path, just to walk in a circle. But before we walk back to Egypt, stop and tell Jesus that he's just not got enough to feed you. Tell him his arm's too short, that's why he couldn't reach you, and you're getting tired of manning you like a slice of pizza. Tell him you already got a guy, but it was nice to meet you. So drunk off accomplishments, we lost consciousness, forgot the consequence, got a few compliments, then we got confident in our own competence. Jesus, the bird of life, I'm looking for a composition for the purpose of your mission is not dependent on which way the wind has shifted. Listen, sometimes snakes are driven out by fire and you may find yourself bitten, but we who live by faith count joy in diverse temptation because we know that the testing of our faith worketh patience, which came from wisdom, who was proved by her actions, whose words deserve far more than a decorative accent. Testing of your faith shows you where your seed is fallen. After the will of God is done, you will receive the promise. Fire in his eyes sees through the disguise, so if there's yeast in the batch, the heat will make it rise. So we hold none back. We chase off all pride. Proper time and procedures only perceived by the wise. Confusion is an illusion that came from a lie that was birthed in the earth where man chose to rely in his own way. Shopping and code J's, divided in the mind, got him trying to go both ways at the same time. This Sophia, now we're dipped so here, unstable and all, which simply means that we need to humble ourselves, becoming doers of the word, not deceiving ourselves, not letting selfish ambitions divide us in purpose, knowing the idols we have hidden only divide us in worship. Realize that the word says to place trust and confidence in human strategy is to delight when walking by sight and spiritual apathy. We should much rather be with Mary at Master's feet than to be broke under the weight of a yoke called ministry. Take heed, lest your heart overcharged with surfeiting, becoming weighed down with much dissipation and worrying. Lean not to your own being not. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5, pure in heart, see God. Check the sparrow, 2 for a penny, 5,000 for a 20. They all get fed. Not to mention he numbered every hair on your head, gave his own blood for drink, his own flesh for bread. And with that being said, we should passionately pursue the purpose placed in our heart, which is to produce much fruit unto the glory of God. Let the seed of the word take root in your soul, and let the fruit that's manifest be the proof that you chose to tighten up your belt after you tuck in your robes, to run unhindered, self-controlled, pressing past the flesh into the promise of rest, and on the bottom of the pools where we catch our breath. Sovereign is the Father in all of his providence, seated in the seat of prominence, watching over his promises. Thou peace encompasses those that keep their eyes on the throne. No shadow of his turning he does not contradict. That's why we got to dig our ditch in the desert. We live by faith. We look not to the weather. Truth is the hammer that breaks a chain and feather. That's why we stay pressing our face into his feathers.